October 14th, 1994. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is a 1994 slasher metafilm, whatever that means. Written and directed by original creator Wes Craven, who wrote and directed the original Nightmare on Elm Street film. Although it is the seventh film of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, it is not a part of the series continuity. So this is not technically Nightmare on Elm Street 7, this is just a standalone film. Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare was the last movie, before Freddy vs. Jason in 2003. In this movie, Freddy is not a fictional movie villain, but instead he's an ancient demon, something like the devil, that was attracted to Wes Craven's Nightmare on Elm Street film. So he somehow got into that film, and he enjoyed being Freddy in all the films. But once the films have ended, he needed a way to live on, so he decided to cross over into our reality. The film stars Heather Langenkamp as a fictionalized version of herself. She lives in Los Angeles, California with her husband, Chase Porter, and Chase is played by David Newsom. John Saxon from the original film, who plays Donald Thompson, is also in this movie, but he plays both Donald Thompson and himself. In this movie, Heather has some sort of mental illness running in her family, and it is revealed that it might have been passed on to Dylan. My family actually enjoyed this film. Me, not so much. I thought it was kinda silly. Yeah, it was a good quality movie. If you're talking about the production quality, it was okay. But the story overall, no. Are you kidding me? Why couldn't they just leave it the way it was? This movie was under the working title A Nightmare on Elm Street 7, The Ascension. What Ascension? Ascending to where? Where could he have gone? They can't be talking about heaven because he's evil. So ascending to where? That title didn't even make any sense. That's why I said the only Nightmare on Elm Street film that I like is the original one, and I like part 6. But the movie opens up pretty much how the first one opened up, with what is seemingly Freddy Krueger recreating his infamous glove. Then he goes to chop his hand off, and it's revealed that it's just a movie set. Apparently they're working on another Elm Street movie. Suddenly the glove comes to life, and the glove stabs the guy in his throat. And then they wake up, and it is revealed that they were asleep the entire time. Again, that's what's really dumb about the Nightmare on Elm Street series, because the whole series is mixed up. Like, you have part of it that's a reality and the other part's a dream, so how do you tell which is which? And then on top of that, you have Heather Langenkamp's psychopathic son, Dylan, talking about he's trying to reach God and climbing on the top of the tower looking thing at the playground. Are you joking? He actually climbs to the top to reach God. And I know you're gonna be like, oh, well, he's just a kid. I've been a kid before. I bet you I never tried to reach God, nor has any other kid. But then John Saxon tells Heather Langenkamp, he's like, there's nothing wrong with Dylan. He's just going through the trauma of losing his father. Yes, that's right. Chase Porter died because he was in the car driving home to see Dylan, and Freddy Krueger killed him. Now, let me ask you guys a question. When Freddy's glove came up between Chase's legs, you're going to say this is gross. But I didn't write the movie, so don't give me any flack. I don't want to hear it. Freddy actually touched that guy's penis. His glove went, it did the clinking sound like plink, 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 plink. Did Freddy Krueger just do that? But Freddy kills the guy. He claws him in his chest. And then Heather wakes up. Now we're led to believe that this is just a dream that Heather has had. Then the police come to her door and say, "I'm sorry, but your husband's dead." And then Dylan starts acting crazy, so she has to have him committed. Then when he gets committed, the doctor starts telling Heather, "You shouldn't let him watch the films." Heather's saying, "I don't let him watch it." And I used to wonder, if she didn't let him watch it, how did it get on the TV? But maybe Freddy turned it on. I don't know. Because now, apparently, Freddy has made his way into the real world. This is getting more and more ridiculous by the moment. Freddy comes into the hospital, but that's only because the nurse puts Dylan to sleep. And the babysitter can't protect Dylan anymore. Dylan's babysitter, Julie, is played by Tracy Middendorf. I heard somewhere that in the original script, the stalker was going to be Dylan's babysitter, Julie. Because you have to remember, Heather was getting phone calls from a stalker. And it would always say something like, 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. My favorite part in the entire movie was when Freddy rang the phone, and then she answered the phone, and then Freddy was like, "I touched him," and he licked Heather on the face. I thought that was hilarious. What's confusing to me is when somebody kept calling Heather's house, was that Freddy calling or was that the stalker fan calling? I'm confused about that. Freddy kills Dylan's babysitter, Julie. Then Freddy tries to kidnap Dylan. When Heather Langenkamp goes back home, she's now in the movie because her dad, played by John Saxon, says, "I love you, Nancy," and she's like, "I love you too, Daddy." And then they play that Freddy Krueger music, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. I give them points for that. I like that song. I downloaded it on my laptop. I like that song. I'll give them that. But anyway, she goes into the house and she finds all these sleeping pills under the bed. Here's the part that gets me. Freddy Krueger dragged her son off to hell. Okay, now let me say this. If Freddy took my son to hell, then guess what? Freddy just got my son. Because I ain't going down there after him. Oh, now I know you're going to say, "Oh, fanatic, that's so mean. Why would you say that? Why would you?" No, I'm not following Freddy Krueger. You think I'm going to go down to hell to fight Freddy? Who's going to help me? I can't fight him. I would have been pooping and peeing all over the place. I would have been so terrified. I would have told my son, I would have said, "Look, hey, I told you to go to church, but you insisted on playing Super Mario Brothers, didn't you? I bet you'll learn next time, won't you?" She actually went down to hell or to the netherworld or whatever you want to call it to save her son. I wouldn't have done it. You'd have just lost the son if that was me. I'm sorry. But she goes down to hell. She fights Freddy. Freddy licks her for about 5 minutes. I don't know what that means. I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now. I'm glad this is almost over. Dylan stabs him in the tongue. This is really weird. So he's playing with people's private parts and licking people. Oh my goodness. Let's just say, long story short, Freddy's defeated. He reveals himself to be an ancient demon, something like the devil. He explodes, and then when she comes back to Earth, there's a script under the bed that says, "Thank you for playing Nancy one last time." And it's left by Wes Craven. Some of you going to say, "Well, Freddy's dead, isn't he?" No, he didn't die in New Nightmare. Because technically, New Nightmare didn't count as an actual Nightmare on Elm Street film. It was just a standalone. Is that what we do in the hood now? We make movies about people driving down the street, listening to the radio while they trying to go home, and they're supposed to be paying attention to the road anyway, and Freddy coming up playing with people's genitalia and licking women for about 5 minutes. This movie was really strange. I felt out of place when I watched this movie as a horror fan. I felt more out of place than an African American at a KKK rally. I felt more out of place than a Tupac fan at a Marilyn Manson concert. This was just a horrible movie. I'm glad it's over. There you have it, folks. Wes Craven's New Nightmare. October 14th, 1994. I approved this message, even though it made me feel really strange as a horror fan.